should we give it up to Rod to spew us some knowledge, to leave us off on a good note here on this this topic of organization?
This is what I'm craving.
I'm so psyched for this. So I went and found an old deck that I had. So
Nice.
you need to forgive me for the amount of extra that comes with throwing up a PowerPoint deck on an impromptu Twitch stream, but I'm going to do it anyway.
This is why you're here.
Shut the fuck up. and just don't worry about it. So that's the whole situation. So I'm just going to share my second monitor here. And we'll party on. So let me know if this doesn't work out properly screen sharing wise. It should be all good. Is
good.
that a
The side is
full
blank.
screen deck now?
It says this slide is blank. No, really, there's nothing here.
Good. Okay, we're sorted. So
Ooh.
I'm going to teach you how to be less terrible at email.
I need this so bad right now.
This is something I'm like super passionate about. So
Yeah, you taking notes?
Yeah, I always write down notes. So that's another thing, just to kind of side note. I always have a piece of paper, like notepad or something, next to my desk in case I need to jot something down. So I'm like our cheat
Taking
note.
notes on my phone.
Me too. I just wish I wrote on it more often. It's just empty.
Okay, so I'll jump into this. I'm going to be looking across because I have my actual deck on the second monitor here. I'll try to do what I can here. So the biggest thing about email is that I think you need a system, and yours probably sucks, so you should use mine. So I would contend that instead of checking email, you should process email. And you should wholeheartedly and 100% stop checking your email. Stop checking your email. You should process your email. What is checking email? Or excuse me, what is processing email? It's more than checking and it's less than responding. So it's really important to kind of strike a balance there. So essentially, what does that mean? And what does it do at the end of the day? Is essentially every email you ask the question kind of like, so what? And by that you convert emails to actions. Every email has an action, and the whole point of processing your email instead of checking it is that you should get really, really good at figuring out what the action is that comes into an email. And at the end of the day, that's designed to limit the number of touches. So in manufacturing or in shipping or in a lot of things, we want to limit, triple handling or double handling. You should never interact with an email more than once, ideally, definitely not more than twice. This is easy, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So the first thing you need to do is essentially just ask, when an email comes in and when you're processing your emails, what does this message mean to me and why do I care? And that follows directly by, what action, if any, does this need? And can I close this out with any kind of action? We want to be so super critical about every single thing that drops into our inbox, like be militantly ridiculous about everything that drops into our inbox. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So essentially, at the end of the day, every email needs an action, period, full stop. The first action is delete or archive. And there's a really, really simple kind of binary action here. Is there any chance you will possibly need to reference this in the future? That's the question, and it's a yes or no answer. Is there a chance I need to reference this in the future? Yes. Archive the email. Is there a chance I will need to reference this in the future? No. Delete the email. And it's literally that simple. It's 100% binary. So a notification that you've got a message from some social media platform, there is a 0% chance you'll need to reference that in the future. Delete it. A bill that the internet company sent you, there is a moderate chance you'll need to reference that in the future. Archive it. And it's literally that simple. So for the four of you, how do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like you could assign either 1 or 0, archive or delete, to anything that comes into your inbox?
That'd be hard for me.
Why?
I'm scared to delete things.
Because maybe this plays into what you're going to say further on, but I feel like I need to reference things. There's times where I've had to look back at things to get different addresses for places or things, but maybe I should keep note of it better.
No. Here's the thing. There's no penalty to archiving a message. And you can set your threshold wherever you want as to, how likely am I to need to reference this in the future? Your threshold can be very high or it can be very low. So if you think like, there's a slight chance in 3.5 years from now that I will need to know the old address of this business that is no longer my client, that's fine. Archive it. You're not running out of fucking space in your Gmail. Yeah. You have 4 gigs free of 7. It's fine. Archive it. It's all good. But at the end of the day, the email that Facebook sent you that let you know that someone commented on your photo, there's a 0% chance you need that ever. Yeah. Does that help a little bit?
Kind of like getting rid of like more spammy stuff. Are you just talking about just with your client emails?
I mean, anything client related, whether it be anything client related, there is a half decent chance you're going to reference that back. I would archive.
Oh, I get what you mean now. I get it now. No, I agree with you. Okay, I'm on board. I get it.
Anyone else on that one?
I just don't want to go through all those emails to like delete them.
We're going to get there.
Okay, keep going.
Sweet. So action number 1, delete or archive. Fine. Action number 2, delegate. If something is not your job, tell someone else to do it. And it is very much that simple. If you are working on a team project, if it is something your wife or your partner or your husband is meant to do, tell them to do it. If it is something an employee is meant to do, tell them. If it's a subcontractor, tell them. Forward it. Say, hey, Scott, this is you, not me. And then after you delegate it, probably because it's, something, if you're delegating something, you may need to reference it back, then you archive it. There are a decent number of things that come into your inbox that are not your job. They're someone else's job, and you should delegate them, full stop. Can you guys think of like examples in the real world, or even like, pull up your inbox on your phone or in a browser window right now and see something that you are going to or have delegated?
I do that if, say I'm doing something with someone, like, and we have tickets to something. This is like the most recent thing that I can think of. Like, if you have tickets to something, like, immediately forward that and be like, hey,
that's true.
This book, just so you know.
Perfect. Okay. So that's action number 2 is delegate. And I think that one's pretty straightforward. So action number 3, respond. Oftentimes someone is like, hey, are you available on Thursday? Yes. Archive. Next. 5-second interaction. A lot of times it's a back and forth thing, and you can very quickly respond and dispose of the email. Whether it ends up being deleted or whether it ends up being archived, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's just respond. And respond comes with the caveat that it's subject to a 2-minute rule. So if it takes you longer than 2 minutes, you're not responding right now. That's respond. So then we get on to action number 4, defer. If it's something you're not doing right now, you defer it, which means it stays in your inbox. Because your inbox is a place where you go for a to-do list and you process your inbox. And if you've completed work, you've won work, you've finished life, no one is talking to you, you're actually at inbox 0, there's nothing for you to do. That's rarely the case. So like, I've hit legitimate inbox 0 across all of my different inboxes, maybe 6 times in the last 10 years, where there's actually nothing in there. And it's not about actually getting to 0 things in your inbox. It's about having a system to process your email so that it doesn't build up and you lose things and lose tasks and forget about things and don't respond to people. It's about having a system to process your email so that things don't fall through the cracks. So there may be times when you defer things. So you get a bill from Shaw. It's not due for 25 days. That's fine. You're just going to read it and say, hey, it's not right now. You leave it in your inbox. And the problem it creates for you, which is a fantastic problem, is that it's going to stay in there for a couple of weeks, and it might be only one of 3 messages, and you have to do that thing and pay that bill before it can be archived. And so it's going to worm in there. And the older an email is that stays in your inbox, the more it's going to grind your gears. And eventually you will get so pissed off that email that's still in your inbox that you're going to perform an action on it, something other than defer. And then lastly is do. And this is very simple. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it. Do it immediately. And there are so many emails that come to your inbox that fall into this category. So if someone's like, hey, I would like to meet for coffee next Tuesday, great. Do the thing, which is relegate that email to a calendar invite. If someone's like, hey, I need you to send me this file, send them the file and then say, I've sent you the file, and then archive the email. Anything that takes less than 2 minutes that needs to get done, you do, and then archive the email or delete the email. Usually something that you do, I would archive because I want the record of the fact that I did it for them. So if a client's like, can you send me this file? Hi, Susan. Yes, I've sent you the file. Here's the link. That took me less than 2 minutes, and I'm going to archive it so that when Scott, the creative director, comes back and is like, why didn't you send that file? Say, actually, I did. Your person lost it. It wasn't on me.
Nice.
So literally, it's 5 actions that you can assign to any email: delete, delegate, respond, defer, do. And when you're processing your email, every single email can be one of those 5 things. And because I haven't presented this deck in a long time, I have a whole bunch of extra slides that I'm going to whip through because we went through them in the last set. Stand by.
I love this. I'm all about this.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Awesome. I'm happy to share the deck after as a PDF. So what I just kind of summarized, all of these actions are designed to relegate emails to, or all of these are designed to relegate emails to actions, because every single thing that comes into your inbox is actionable, full stop. Fucking argue with me, and I will show you in your inbox personally, any of you, that we can kind of prove that out. And so I honestly hear this a lot, which is, how could I possibly get started doing this? I get a million emails. What do I do about my folders? I love my folders more than my firstborn children. I can't possibly delete an email. What if I miss something? What the fuck is wrong with you? And I've heard this from hundreds of people, and that's totally fine. So here's the structure of the folders that you actually have to care about, because the whole thing about processing your email this way is that folders go away, because it's 2020 and you don't need folders, because every email client you have has a robust search function. So what do your folders look like? Archive, something that's actionable, your spam. If you're really twitchy, you can have a folder where you're waiting for someone to come back to you, and you can use a tool like Nudge Mail or something like that. Those are all the folders you should need. And I would urge you to jump off the deep end and don't have more folders than that. So, of course, you have your archive, because that's where everything that you've dealt with goes. And that's fine. You need that for legal records and following up and proving to Scott that you sent the email to Linda, and it's all fine. Your spam's not going away. Maybe you're going to have a waiting for folder or a response needed folder or something like that, so that you don't forget that Karen didn't send you the brief that you asked for 2 weeks ago. But, there's probably going to be a showstopper at some point where someone's going to say, did you get that from Karen? No, I didn't. Let me go back and search, because I use Gmail or whatever it is, where the search is so good that it's not going to take me long to find that email. I don't need 60 folders for client 1, person 2, whatever it is. You can search and find the email you want relatively quickly. So how do you get started all of this? Nuke everything. And you can do this with your inbox. If you have 3,000 emails in your inbox, you can go nuke everything. So find, the most important 10 senders that you have and search by them, and then grab anything from the last, couple weeks and leave that and nuke everything else or archive everything else. And what I would contend is that you can toss everything and bring anything that's actionable back. So you could literally take your entire inbox and archive absolutely everything. And then at the end of the day, in your inbox, there's probably only 10 or 12 things that are actually actionable for you. And then you can go ahead and take those 10 or 12 things and process them according to delete, delegate, do, respond, defer. You can absolutely 100% do that. And as much as we're in, war times pandemic wise, you should also feel like you're in war times email wise, and this is triage. If something is really important and you miss it, someone will email and follow back up with you. And the most likely you're going to be to actually get to zero is now, when you toss absolutely everything and bring back 10 or 12 emails and then process them down to zero. And I would also contend that you should start batching your email. From a productivity perspective, you should spend 10 minutes, an hour or less on email, and then work for 50 minutes or whatever timing cadence you want. If you are constantly checking your email, you're getting distracted every 3 minutes or every time an email comes in. And what you should do is shut your email the fuck off. Open it up at the top of the hour, spend 8 minutes processing your email or 10 minutes processing your email, quit your email client, close the Gmail tab, go do your work because you don't get paid to email people, and then rinse and repeat that 6 hours throughout your workday. So many people fall off this wagon, and that's totally fine. Everyone relapses. It's part of email recovery. So what do? Oh, all of a sudden I have 100 emails in my inbox. That's fine. Dump everything. Bring back anything that's actionable. Process everything in your inbox, get back to zero, and then do it again. And then realize that you're not actually processing your email. You've started checking it again, so you need to do it less. I would also suggest cheating if at all possible. Delete emails that are actually moderately actionable and let people get back to you. And don't fiddle with it. Don't go make, I'm only going to have folders for my most important clients. I'm only going to check email like midday. Like, just stop. Process your email at a set cadence. In terms of, I'm going to jump back here. In terms of you helping other people, because no one likes shitty emails and receiving shitty emails. So what you can do to help people is have subject lines that are actionable and write really good subject lines so that other people that are trying to practice really sterile inboxes know what's happening. So don't bury the lead. So say, hey, Scott, I need this file. Instead of, a subject line of, how you doing, bro? And then a whole paragraph of, hey, man, it was really great to see you at the supermarket yesterday. And your mask looks great. I hope your wife is doing all right. Listen, by the way, did you Dropbox me? That just don't mess with other people in that sense. Don't bury the lead. Be thankless about your email. It's a communication method, and you have to hustle through that. And writing handwritten cards is the time for floof. There's a time and a place to send subject-only emails, which is to say that you don't actually need a body in your email. You can throw someone an email with the subject only, saying no message, saying, hey, I got it. And then you can also not email people. As much as I'm kind of like mega early millennial, pick up the phone. If you can eliminate like an 8 message thread, by picking up the phone and chatting with someone for 2 minutes, do that. And I really strongly encourage that. And then the last kind of triage tip, or second last, is, you can tell people if you're buried in a project or you're working on a deadline, put your autoresponder on and be like, hey, I might not get back to you today because I'm sprinting on something. And 11 times out of 10, the client is going to be like, I admire that. That's very cool. I appreciate you doing that. And then last, I would say, like, minimize noise. So, like, if 8 people don't need to know that you've started editing a project or working on something, don't. Just email your point of contact and then call it there. And that's as quickly as I can get through that deck. I realize I took so much time, and I'm so sorry, but that's me
All good.
ranting about email for a little bit of time.